We have here some Melira. I'm calling it Melira Night Pod. It's got the no devoted druid, but it has the Melira and Afenza Seer Finks combo. It also has got red cap for extra combo power to deal damage. And then it has Knight of the Reliquary value with Tireless Tracker and some Ghost Quarters. No pod, 0 to 10. I like this as a more mid-range version of company deck. I don't know if Devoted Druid is just strictly better right now. I think it probably is because it's a faster win. And Infinite Life is not as great right now. How do we kill the Phoenix thing? Scavenging Ooze, Path to Exiles, Giant Knight of the Reliquaries. I'm excited about Murderous Redcap, to be honest. It's been a little while since I redcapped anybody. I'm not worried about a 3-2 flyer. A 3-2 flyer is just Delver. Right? It's the thing in the ice that's the problem for this deck. Playing against Ehawk 77. We have to mulligan this hand. It doesn't do anything. If there's a Mana Dork in this hand instead of one of these cards here, I think we can keep it. So we have turn 1 Bird, turn 2 Anafenza. Yeah, we can keep this. Don't know what our opponent's on. I'll bottom that, trying to dig for some action here. Okay, incoming Shambling Vent. Here we go. Shambling Vent League number 32. Looks like we're going up against Amulet Titan. They grabbed the Tolaria West. Our hand is a bit slow against Amulet Titan here. Hey, Funky. Don't care about County Garden here. we can survive a 1 Titan. We do have 3 paths main. Ooh, never mind. We can no longer survive 1 Titan. So with 3 mana, I'm just going to set myself up. Alright, I'm either dead or I stand a chance here to try to company into something relevant. If they have a crew land Titan, pretty much just dead here. I mean, that'd only be... Well, no, they would need crew land, Zeusa Titan, and then we're dead. Otherwise, we're just taking 10. And then we're dead the following turn, unless we draw a path. Opponent's thinking, which to me means they don't have a Karoo land. Or they don't have a Titan, and they're trying to figure out how best to use the Tolaria West in their hand. Or maybe they're just going to take a piss. Okay, so they need the Karoo land. So we're not dead unless they have an Azusa. Okay, they hit the Karoo land. Maybe they are streaming. Ehawk 77. Ehawk, isn't that like Ethan Hawke? Like a Mission Impossible character or something? Or is that Gattaca? Gattaca's... No, the actor's Ethan Hawke, right? Who's in Gattaca? I'm confused with my trivia here. I am not great at trivia. Don't invite me to be on your trivia team. So I think for a Devoted Druid deck, I think this is a fantastic matchup because Devoted Druid, like my Abzan, can attack this from a lot faster of an angle. Okay, they're killing Anafenza. I think it's a clear mistake here. I think they should wait, then do it in company and response. Knowing I run Anafenza means they're going to have a ton of triggers they can respond to. Company, missing a piece, so there's nothing I can company into that can let me combo right now. For those just joining in, here is the list. So I'm not running Devoted Druid. I am running Melira and Afenza. So what I'm really hoping to grab is like a Melira Seer and Afenza Seer, and then play Finks next turn. I could get a cheeky little punch in for one there. I don't think it's good enough. Hey, how's it going, Bobby? Okay. Unless they have another... Okay, yeah, so I'm super dead next turn. And... Oh, I can grab a Ghost Quarter, blow up a Karoo land. That can help. I don't need the Finks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So I could Eternal Witness Collected Company if I so chose. That line could just lead to a direct combo kill. I could Knight of the Reliquary, grab a Ghost Quarter, blow up a Karoo land that they're playing. I mean, that's still going to give them plenty of mana if you look. If they have a Karoo land in hand, they play it, they're going to get 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus Ghost Quarter, 11 mana, which if they can't kill me with 11 mana, I think I'm in rough shape. I could blow up the Double Strike land before it untaps. I think that's probably a better line. And that will buy me one more turn. So I think I like that. So if they go for the kill here, which a lot of Amulet players would probably do, I'm going to Ghost Quarter the Slayer's Stronghold before they can give their Titan haste. Okay, that's fine. I mean, like, I guess I could blow it up right now, right? And that would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, I'll just do that right now. Okay, so they must have a Zusa in hand. That was the only way I got punished for the line I took. Okay, packed. Yep. I think if a Titan hit the table, I think I was in pretty big trouble anyway. Yeah. So I should be dead here if my opponent can solve their puzzle. Now we're just letting the opponent figure it out. Opponent's wisely playing around Path to Exile. They're going to get another Titan. I mean, with 3 amulets, they can get every Titan they want and give 3 of them haste and give 1 or 2 of them double strike. Because they can swing in for 24 plus 8, 32 trample damage, easy. Yeah, this is game 1. And we're just super dead here. But our opponent might not attack. You never know. This is a situation where on paper, if my opponent just said, I'm going to get 3 Titans and attack with 3 of them, I'd say, okay, I concede. There's no situation where they can tell me they even have a... I mean, they haven't typed in the chat, like, I'm going to give them all anything. For all I know, instead of attacking, they could just try to set themselves up for a giant engineered explosives and kill my knight or kill my Melira. I don't know. Alright. Pretty dead. This does give me time to eat my delicious chicken. What is, in chat, what is your favorite type of chicken? I am a sucker for chicken patty sandwiches, chicken tenders, buffalo chicken. This I have here is honey mustard ginger chicken. Chicken tenders, which is very different than chicken fingers. Alright, Ted. Just wanted them to show the win. What are we bringing in? Well, Path to Exile's nice. A trophy's nice. Scavenging Ooze is really bad here. Unmoored Ego seems destined for this matchup. And what is bad? Infinite Life doesn't... It wins us the game, but this is MTGO, so it's a little bit worse. Tracker doesn't do too much here. Selfless Spirit's okay. I guess it does stop an engineered explosive, but it doesn't stop a path. Dabney Township is actively bad here. Two more cuts. I think I'll keep in one Selfless Spirit just as a cord target to protect the combo. The way I'd like to beat them here is either land an Unmoored Ego on 2. Yeah, let's actually just cut a Witness. Witness is less powerful here. Witness's whole purpose in this situation is just to rebuy removal, but the Knight of the Reliquary in our deck lets us rebuy. Let's have some Ghost Quarter lock. Not a lock with no Ramanat, but Ghost Quarter slow our opponent down. So that was game 1.
I like turtles.
Thank you. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the 2-month sub. That's awesome. Is it just because I'm playing more Abzan? So I don't know if you guys can tell, but my face I got stung by bees. I had to move our beehive a little bit last night. And they got in under the beekeeper suit and stung my face. They stung my arm. It was terrible. No, you're right, this is not Abzan. No, I didn't. It was after a day of doing yard work, so I don't think I zippered up the back properly, so they snuck in behind the back, and they got me bad. So this hand goes turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Fangs. I think it's too slow here. Oh, if we had a Mana Dork, this hand would be great. The problem was the bee suit was excellent at keeping the bees that were trapped in the bee suit with me. Going to 5. This is a functional 5. Let's get a black land. Or a fetch land would be perfect. We have turn 2 Unmoored Ego. Something interesting to know, Infinite Life is not as good as Amulet Titan right now as it used to be, because a lot of Amulet lists are playing around with Hive Mind. Blue, colorless, need black here. What do I actually want? Double white's important, but I think double green is more important. So I think Overgrown Tomb is the land. Black, blue, something. Unmoored Ego. If they don't have Hive Mind, this might just be a victory here. Forcing them to kill us with Walking Ballista can slow them down considerably. Especially without Prime Time to make the Walking Ballista bigger. Primeval Titan. Okay. Let's check out their deck. Do they have Hive Mind? They have 3 amulets, so they trimmed an amulet against us, which is probably correct. 3 engineered explosives, 4 paths. How are they going to kill us? They brought in Ramanap to rebuy things off Ghost Quarter. That's smart. Bajuka Bog can hurt us pretty bad with the Kitchen Finks Pant Land. So really their win condition right now, once we get rid of Prime Time, is Walking Ballista, and we don't really care about anything else here. Their hand is some more lands, Ancient Stirrings, and a new redraw. So I can Eternal Witness, grab Unmoored Ego, and then name Walking Ballista. And then I think we win the game. Yeah, Unmoored Ego is really good. Need some more Hollywood lighting. Yeah, Andrew, I would love to go over the facts again. Fact number 1. My wife is a beekeeper. Fact number 2. I built a nice little bee lane where the bees will be fenced in, but they can go through the fence and they're safer from bears and everything else. Fact 3. I moved the beehive. Fact 4. I got stung by bees. No, none of those facts are relevant. I just think they're interesting. I think the plan I already laid out is the best plan. Walking Ballista is the only thing I care about. It was so terrible. I don't think there's anything scarier than when you're carrying a beehive in the dark, because you have to move them at night. And all of a sudden you have bees, not just by your face, but in your pants. Bees in your pants. Why did they grab Summoner's Pack there? Probably for Ramanap. Blue, black, green. Unmoored Ego. So what do they have left in their deck? Yeah, just Ramanap. Yeah. Maybe I do want the other Eternal Witness. No, I brought in 4 egos. I think I'm safe with that. Although Ewit buying Path is pretty good here. Mono green Hornet Queen dot deck. I like it. So this is another turn 2 Unmoored Ego hand. I like it a lot. I want to give a shout out to Andre. Please tell me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I have to look it up again. For this donation league. It's awesome. Unmoored Ego out of the side fixes a lot of problems this deck has. Still don't love Knight of the Reliquary, but I do love how this deck is packing 4 Finks. Blue, this will be black. Godless Shrine this time. Okay. Let's see if they did anything differently here. They brought in Hornet Queen to have an extra threat. That's important. Their hand is Ramanop and a Pact, so they can still ramp. Speaking of Hornet Queen. So it looks like they cut an Amulet of Vigor to slow themselves down to beat Hornet, to bring in a Hornet Queen. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think of anything else they did here. I think that's just their only change. So now we have to beat Hornet Queen, Ballista, and Ramanop. Yep. We have a Ghost Quarter to slow them down. I mean, we have a really slow beatdown plan here, but I think we can pull this off. Path can deal with the Walking Ballista once. Yeah, Path's kind of bad right now. Turns out Unmoored Ego is really good. I wonder if it's something you want to bring in against the Phoenix decks also. Name Thing in the Ice before they can land a Thing in the Ice. Name Phoenix. Unless we get it down turn 2, though, it's probably too slow. Maybe it's something on the play, but definitely not in the draw. Can you guys actually see? It's right under the beard. Bee Sting, right there. It's terrible. Tell you what, there's nothing scarier than hearing a bee in your bee suit. Oh, I stand corrected. Having a bee in your bee suit pants. That was worse. Ghost Quarter doesn't do much here. It does stop a Walking Ballista a little bit. You know, hey, let's hang on to that. Okay, all I have to watch out for is Hornet Queen and Walking Ballista. Only threats left in the deck. And that is what I get for a reverse bee suit. I'm aware. If nothing else, this deck list is intriguing in how powerful a turn 2 Unmoored Ego is. It's something I was playing around with with my old Sultai mid-range decks, my Noble Sultai lists from 5 months ago now, October, November of 2018. I could drop a turn 2. The whole deck was built around having 3 mana turn 2 with a Noble Hierarch, so I could do a turn 2 Liliana the Veil, Scavenging Ooze plus Eat Something, Unmoored Ego. Really, really powerful deck. Probably one of my favorite mid-range decks at the moment. At that particular snapshot of what Modern was, October, November, with a lot of Jace the Mind Sculptor decks, a lot of Tron, and then we had Bridgevine burst up onto the scene. So I needed... So I needed to have an answer. How did I miss Tireless Tracker? Alright, well I guess I still have to deal with Tireless Tracker. Anyways, that Sultai deck had Unmoored Ego to deal with Tron, Storm, because Storm was also pretty popular then too. And it was very, very powerful. I don't need blue anymore unless I want to play another Unmoored Ego. And I still have Noble for that. And if they drop the Walking Ballista, it's one of the really only ways they're going to kill Noble. So I'm just going to get another green source. So next turn I can blow up their Slayer's Stronghold, which can keep them from making their Tireless Tracker just kind of take over the game. I still have them dead in 3 punches with Selfless Spirit. And I believe they took out the Kabir Crossroad against me. One of my best possible draws would be Eternal Witness or another Path, just to take out this tracker. So game 1, we're having a long one against Amulet Titan. We lost game 1 on a mull. Game 2, we also actually have mulled every game so far, haven't we? Leading off game 2 with double Unmoored Ego, naming Primetime and Walking Ballista. This is game 3. They brought in some additional threats, notably Tireless Tracker and Hornet Queen. This tracker is going to be a real issue. So they can make their tracker a 5/4. If I Ghost Quarter myself, actually if I just Ghost Quarter in general, that'd be a 6/6. I think I'm fine here. Or alternatively, I can just swing for 4 in the air. I think I like this. Force him to chump block. Or die to the Selfless Spirit next turn. They are representing 0 white mana because the Coalition Relic's tap, so I know they don't have Path to Exile at the moment, so I feel pretty safe with the line I'm taking. Like if they had Coalition Relic still up, I would probably just attack with Selfless Spirit and try to slow the game down a little bit. And their game plan would be just to churn through their deck to get all their Path to Exiles and eventually win with the Giant Tireless Tracker, which I still don't think is enough. So if I Ghost Quarter them, they get an extra clue. But I do get rid of the Slayer's Stronghold, which is this with this dead. I think I'm just going to Ghost Quarter myself. Does anyone in the chat raise bees? It's kind of a fringe hobby that's getting a little more popular right now. My wife loves it. She does all that stuff. Maple syrup, bees, you have chickens. Maple bees. You know, you can... I don't know if you're joking or not. You are from Canada, so maybe not. But you can have... If you feed, I'm pretty sure if you feed bees maple syrup, their honey will taste a little bit like maple syrup. Because their honey changes flavor based on what you feed them. Just make sure you wear a normal bee suit, not a reverse bee suit. There's nothing scarier than bees crawling around your member. Engineered explosives is one of the only things I'm afraid of, and Selfless Spirit kind of protects me. EE on 1 would blow up both my nobles. EE on 3 doesn't do anything. EE on 2 just kills Spirit. I mean, yeah, if you want to have a cuddly relationship with some bees. Alright, Walking Ballista on 2. Sure. Should ping off my nobles here. Might be in trouble here. Walking Ballista was one of the few things I couldn't really deal with. If I try to combo now, what will they do? I think I have to combo now, force them to kill the Viscera Seer. If I combo now, they have to kill the Seer, which means they don't have a Ballista. Otherwise, I just gain a ton of life. Yep. So... bottom that. That's dead, gain some life. And bottom that. You could coat yourself in maple syrup and just stand there. That'd feel pretty interesting. It'd feel weird having bees just crawling all over you. What's the best list to face Tron, Burn, Green-Black X, and a Blue-White X field? Ooh. Because against Burn and Green Black X, I'd say my Abzan company list. Against Blue White and Tron, I'd say a Knight of the Reliquary company list. Yeah. The problem with that is that you have half of that field folds to Infinite Life, and Finks is really good against, even as just a value card. Against Green, Black X, and Burn, a 3 for a 3/2 persist with a gain 2 life trigger is amazing. Does nothing against the other field. So this deck would do pretty well against Burn, I feel, and it'd also do decent against Green, Black X. Unmoored Ego out of the side would do real well against Tron. I don't know how the blue-white control matchup would be. I think if you tuned this list to run some counter spells on the side, I think it'd be pretty good against some control decks. Yeah, maybe a lot of Sin Collectors. I mean, that's the 4 decks you're playing against. If that's all your entire meta is, I feel like we could find a better deck than a company deck to hit all of those. So Tron folds to Infect, Burn crushes Infect. Yeah, I mean, my taxes list might even just be better there. All right, I'm going to be right back. I made it. So I'm heating up some coffee because I am addicted to the caffeine. So what does this hand do? It does absolutely nothing. Let's mulligan. What does this hand do? It does absolutely nothing. Let's mulligan. Let's mulligan. Let's keep this because it's a 4. This is not a bad 4. Up against Dredge. All right. I could definitely pick a better list, better 4 to beat Dredge with, not a better list. I'll just preserve my life total and try to gun for a turn 3 company. Kevin, you're a little late on that. All right, grab my coffee. Ooh, sorry. The key to beating Amulet is to, with Unmoored Ego, not name Summoner's Pact. Especially when you lose to Hive Mind anyway. Yeah, Antoine something has a bunch of MTGO finishes with a Abzan processor company list. It seems pretty sweet. Yeah, I'll just take it. Feeling pretty dead here. We do have a company next turn, which is nice. Need a company into... Okay. Company into some Finks or something here. Flagrate would go face anyway, so I think Tracker's better just for being bigger. Yeah. Okay. So my game plan is to block Prized Amalgam with Knight of the Reliquary, and then in response get another land to make him a 4/4, block Bloodghast with Finks, and gain 2 life. Okay, they have Conflagrate in the graveyard now. 6 cards in hand. I'm just dead. This was an acceptable 4, though. I mean, if you're going to mold a 4, can you think of a worse mold of 4 than what we just had? Okay. Alright, just like a lot of things, we're going to get better after sideboard. 2 Scavenging Ooze. Unmoored Ego probably isn't good enough. Knight of Autumn probably isn't good enough. Sin Collector probably isn't good enough. Path probably isn't good enough. What is bad here? The Infinite Life plan is pretty good. Ghost Quarter is not great, so I don't mind even trimming one of those. Hey, Tracker is beautiful. Beautiful card. Might get cut this match, though. What do I want? Honestly, the same list just with extra scoozes might be all I'm really looking for here. Like, I don't think Unmoored Ego does anything. All it's going to do is like take out their Conflagrates, which is very powerful. I want my Selfless Spirit to kind of protect me from that, and I want my life gain plan to save me from dying. I think I'd rather having Breeding Pool just as a whole over the other Ghost Quarter here. It is a shock land, but it is an extra turn 1 green source. I'm not sold on it. Don't really like Path here. Knight of Autumn doesn't really do much either. Go run this. Okay, an acceptable hand. This is the first time I think we didn't mulligan. You guys can go back and check. We might not have mulliganed game 3 against Amulet. I think we did, though. Just had some... I mean, that was a very good mold of 4, though, especially with what we drew. We drew into exactly what we needed to draw to be able to do a turn 3 company. We would have fought a turn 3 company into a turn 4 company and run away with that game. I did have bees inside my bee suit. It was terrible. So no dredgers, so I will let them do their draw step. Faithless Looting doesn't matter yet. They don't have 3 mana. There's not much scarier than that. Do I exile land just to keep them from having it in their hand? I think I might. And then I untap. Yeah, I will. And then I'm going to untap and eat the loam. Just playing a fair game here. Haven't been able to combo yet. Okay. No inside joke. I got stung in the face, the arm, the legs. It was terrible. Cathartic Reunion. Discarding Creeping Chill and Arid Mesa. Sure. I'm going to get a black source here so I can play Murderous Redcap. Okay. There are much better Abzan Fair decks running Scavenging Ooze and Tracker. But I mean, if you look at it right now, the only advantage this deck has right now over that is that I actually have... I can hold mana up and threaten a combo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I can actually just chord for... Like, I can just combo and win next turn. I can chord for Melira, and then I can untap, play a red cap. 1, 2, 3, 4... not be able to combo the next turn. I think either way, I'm just going to hold up all this Skooz mana. If they already have a Lightning Axe in the bin, unless they draw a way to kill Skooz, I can just run away with the game. Those bees did a number. I don't know if you can see it. My lip is swollen. It's terrible. I'm a mess today. Oh, Kevin, did you want to still do that Sultai League? Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can chord 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can win right here. Unless I counted wrong. Green, green, yeah. Whew, we're getting there. Any changes being in the side? I think we're good. I think 2 paths probably correct. Next week sounds great. Yeah, because I have an IQ, and I'm not bringing Sultai to the IQ. I have an IQ on Saturday. I'm still torn what I'm gonna bring there. Everything tells me I should bring Amulet because it's the better deck, and it can actually have a fair good chance against Phoenix. But I've done really well with my Absent Company list. Turn 1, turn 2. I have plenty of mana for chord. I think I keep this. I wish I had 1 less land and 1 something else, but I would keep this as a 6 if I had 1 less land. Plus, I just need 1 more combo piece and I can just win. Can we rename Kevin in the chat to be in the bee suit? Ooh, this is not looking good. Can't? Oh, bummer. Yeah, in the Facebook chat. So I think we have a great Dredge matchup here. Them having Conflagrate in the bin with 7 cards in hand means we're probably going to lose our board here, and we need to not draw any more lands for the rest of the game. Collected Company is good. Scoos is obviously the best possible draw. Okay. They have... Yeah, I just need like a Spell Bomb. I don't run it, but Nihil Spell Bomb would be fantastic right here. Green, 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 1. I can cord for something here. I think I want to cord from like a Melira or an Anafenza, so I'm just going to pass. There's no point in punching my opponent for 3. Just knocking on the 20. That doesn't do much. I have to say, this list is bringing me back. I don't know why. I've always preferred Anafenza and Melira to Devoted Druid. I do think Devoted Druid is strictly more powerful. And one thing that Devoted Druid does really well is lets you run less lands. Because Devoted Druid is an excellent mana dork. Sparkplug, thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard the Doom Train. Blood Artist would be pretty sweet. I just like Blood Artist as a card. I think Red Cat might just be a little bit stronger in a vacuum. Because it can also has utility in killing things. You can cord and kill Azusa, for example. So dealing 3 to me, 5 there. Yeah, I'll just cord now. You gotta be kidding me. They have Blood Gas in the bin, so I really can't afford to attack here. Okay, Stinkweed Imp in hand. They still don't have Conflagrate, but they only have 4 cards in hand. No life from the loam that I see. Okay, there's life from the loam. Next turn we die to Conflagrate. We're going to fall to 5 here. Not good enough. All we need is a cord, a seer, something besides what we're drawing. Scavenging ooze would be fine. Not drawing well right here. Despite that, we're tied with Dredge right here. We had a mold of 4 game 1. Almost got there. We were a turn away from winning. Crushed him game 2 with a Scavenging Ooze. And this is game 3. Where all we seem to be drawing are useless cards. Okay, Life from the Loam again. With enough mana for the Conflagrate, we are dead. They can do Conflagrate for 7. If we had a cord in hand right now, we would win. But we don't. Yep, good game. Okay, I do think Dredge is a good matchup here. I just think that we didn't draw well. It's possible I should have mulled that hand. It was 4 lands. I had a turn 2 Finks and a turn 3. A turn 2 Finks, a turn 3 cord. Just didn't do anything beyond that. We needed to draw into 1 more piece, and we never did. What did we draw that game? Lands and a Noble Hierarch? Is that all we drew? I think that's all we drew that entire mulligan again. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking for. This has the combo. I don't want the cord because we're a little light on mana. I need 1 more land. Daniel MOS. Don't know what he's on. Yeah, I do think that hand was fine versus Dredge. I think I only drew lands and a Noble Hierarch, though, that entire game. Anyone correct me on that? Did I draw anything besides lands and Noble Hierarch? Like, you're not going to win a game if that's all you draw. I think I'm just gunning for the combo here. Right? And just hope I draw a land. Man, I hope we play against Infect. That'd be nice. I think we're up against Blue-White Control. The Fan, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Doom Train. Glad to have you. Yeah, I want the land here more than the scry. Who's the guy with the bad hat? And no, we have a local Infect player. Unless you're doing this in my upkeep. Don't run a basic swamp. That could be an issue with this list. Oh, we're up against an Esper deck. I wonder if this is the Esper deck that just did well yesterday. That should have won. I just drop Finks. Easy peasy, traverse a breezy. I like it. I approve of all traverse the Uvenwald messages. We are getting Field of Ruined out of this game. We're out of basics. I do think a fourth basic could be very good here. Yeah, I think this is the Esper Control deck that just couldn't draw a fourth land and then had a wrong name with Unmoored Ego. Just go to combat here. Opponent is going to be at 5 if they don't do anything here. Snap Path seems the most likely line. Yep. So they can path the Finks and block the Melira and leave us on board with what will be 2 Selfless Spirits. Yep. Sure. So one thing I would like to add to this mana base is the basic Swamp. I actually thought about building it so I could stream it today. I think the list looks real sweet. I like how it's built around spot removal. What do I want to do here? I think I just want to swing. I prefer spot removal with Snap. I think it's the best style control deck for me. I don't like another path. Okay. So opponent's going to fall to 8 here. I don't think this list is well set up to beat Esper Control. I think Esper Control is going to mess up this deck. Infinite Life doesn't beat Jace or Teferi. This is where Devoted Druid would be a little bit better, even though still Devoted Druid is only 50-50 against White. I'll let you know. Thank you for the good luck. Enjoy your lunch. Ghost Quarter hits Creeping Tar Pit. I think I want to start off drawing a card. Leggy. He wants us to tell him how the Leggy's going. Leggy. Alright, so Ghost Quarter can take care of that Creeping Tar Pit. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it does eliminate a blocker. Maybe I should have held it and played it next turn, so our opponent can try to lean on the Creeping Tar Pit for the victory. And then I can, as a blocker on the Finks, it is Old Gaelic. Quick, somebody look up what that means in Old Gaelic. Alright, Nail Spellbomb's really good against Finks. So, Ghost Quarter, that, and I still have enough. Okay, so let's... Man, I am only drawing lands here. Opponent's drawing 2 cards. Don't have another path. I'm gonna let this happen, and if they want to blow up my spell bomb, blow up their spell bomb to kill my Finks, I'm fine with that. They're not drawing a card, and I have another Finks in hand. The other option was I sacrifice Selfless Spirit to save the Finks. I think Selfless Spirit is a little bit more valuable right here. Yes, this Esper deck runs Kaya. Okay, opponent needs to deal with our board. They have 3 cards in hand. We got it. Oh, man. Yeah, Chris, did you see the Star City event last night? Esper Control came in second, and I think it should have won. All right, I want this. Unmoored Ego. I'm intrigued with Unmoored Ego. This deck does rely on Snap, so Screws might be good. I don't think Path does anything here. They do have Detention Sphere in the side if it's the same list. Okay, you'll really like this deck. It runs 2 Kaya, 2 Jace, 2 Teferi. Kaya makes the deck tick because the 3 main board spell bombs with Path really makes Kaya threaten lethal really quick. Speeds up the clock of the traditional blue-white control deck. I don't think it runs Ashiok. No. What do I want here? Unmoored Ego. The problem is that Unmoored Ego, because they have such a nice mix of threats, Unmoored Ego doesn't do much here. Yeah, your list actually reminded me of your list. I thought I was gonna message you on it, but I was busy getting stung by bees. I don't think Unmoored Ego has anything I'm really interested in hitting. I do like Phyrexian or Voker being able to name a Planeswalker. And I am intrigued by Scavenging Ooze. I don't think I want that many of them, though. What is bad here? I think Seer is important for Red Cap. Finks doesn't do much. Tracker and Knight are probably my best threats here. Selfless Spirit protects me against their board wipe, which I believe is Supreme Verdict. Court of Calling generally gets worse against control decks. Maybe I just want to do that. Let's go a little bit bigger here. Esper Charm is one of my favorite things about this Esper deck. I loved Esper Charm. I ran it in, I made my own Esper control deck when I first got into Modern. I loved it. I liked it. Then I fell in love with Geist St. Traft, and I quickly switched that over to Jeskai. Then I splashed black for Jeskai, and I couldn't squeeze in Esper Charm, so I ended up just running some Kolaghan's Command and Crackling Doom. Having a basic in my hand when I know I have 2 more basics left in the deck seems pretty bad right now. But what counter magic? Cryptics, Logic Knots. I think that's all it ran. Maybe, and then some negates out of the side. I think maybe 1 negate main. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Kaya, Esper Charm, Cryptic Command. Esper Charm is going to quickly blow us out of the water here. We're going to be forced to discard cards. I think Seer's an easy discard. Land. And I want to keep the trophy in the night for as long as possible. I think Cryptic Command is just the most powerful card in my opponent's hand, so I'll get rid of that. Esper Charm is just really, really good. All three modes are relevant. I did not draw... I have 4 mana. Opponent played a new card, so we actually still know their entire hand. So that means I can't counter this knight, so I'm just going to drop the knight. Land and Seer are the easy discards. Yeah. I felt like it was more blue-black than blue-white, to be honest. Opponent chooses perhaps the wrong mode on Esper Charm there. Draw 2 instead of make me pitch 2. I think the Mind Rot is the best part of Esper Charm. Like, if they'd Mind Rotted me, untapped Mind Rotted me, I would have had a completely empty hand going into my next turn, and they could untap with a Kaya. They would take a little bit of a beating there, so they would need to draw into something to win, but I still think that's the right line. I'm going to get a black source here, because I know my opponent's going to try to knock me off black. Sure. Only 2 black sources in the deck is probably not enough. I'll hold up Trophy here. Yeah, it's instant speed Mind Rot, it's instant speed Divination, and it's got Enchantment Hate tacked in, which is super relevant in those colors. Enchantments are really powerful in Modern. There isn't much to destroy them. We should get Esper Charmed here, in which case I'll just pitch 2 lands. So I got a little cheeky there. Instead of giving my creatures indestructible, I wanted to free Scry. Took a gamble that the opponent's removal, the rest of their hand's removal, was path-based, especially since they were locked out of black mana for the turn. That's fine. The real question here is, our opponent killed the Selfless Spirit. Are they going to untap with a board wipe? The problem is, I kind of can't play around it. All right. This is feeling more like I'm playing against a control deck. Last game felt a little bit more free, being able to beat down for 5 a turn. So currently 1-1, beat Amulet Titan, lost to Dredge in Game 3. Game 1 we mulled to 4. In Game 3, I believe we only drew lands and Noble Hierarch the entire time. Kaya can kill my hand here. I still think our opponent made a mistake by not Esper Charming Mind Rotting us, because if you look, like, Sin Collector gets rid of that Esper Charm. 1, 2, yeah, I got enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So, well, okay. We'll change the order of things. Because they could have gotten rid of that Assassin's Trophy out of my hand if they timed their Esper Charms correctly. White, black, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 mana left after the Esper Charm. They could Esper Charm, draw 2, play a Jace, bounce my Skoos. If they have Jace. What do you guys think of this deck list so far? Aside from mulliganing a lot, which is just bad variance, and aside from needing a basic swamp, which I guess I understand the need for not wanting to run a basic swamp. It does not work well with Knight of the Reliquary. Yep. So I can deal with Snapcaster Mage. I can't deal with the Supreme Verdict, and I can't really deal with a Jace. So I just need my opponent to draw nothing but lands for the rest of the game, and I can win this. Okay. Getting rid of my opponent's spot removal. It's either that or I choose to get rid of their Esper Charms. One of the two had to go. I should have held that. I run tracker on this list. I should have held the land. Don't think it'll matter. I think I'm pretty dead here. They just need to drop a Planeswalker, and I'm pretty dead without a company. Collected company into a Knight of Autumn and a tracker would be great. That would buy back my Skoos and draw me cards. Just trying to think of the best possible thing I could get here. What makes Sphinx worse? Could have grabbed Assassin's Trophy, blown up the Kalitas, and then threatened them with a 2-1. I just don't think I have access to a 6-6, which is about to be a 7-7. I think I want to take advantage of it. Until they drop a Kaya and start... They only have 2 Kayas. I already ate 1. So until they threaten my graveyard, I think having a knight in play is better to try to end the game quicker. As opposed to just try to beat their face in with a 2-1 Eternal Witness. The longer this game goes, the worse off I am. The opponent's already drawn 5 more cards than me. Sure, they get a zombie. I'm running out of lands. Company. They can chump with this and then eat it into the Kalitas. Jace bounce knight. Swing 5 will be a pretty good line. Yeah, I don't see a victory here. They can just bounce the knight, force me to start chumping in a turn or two. Which is just going to make Kalitas bigger. I mean, to be fair, this Esper Charm deck is designed to beat up on decks like this. Creature-based decks. It's got lots of spot removal. I haven't seen a board wipe yet, but Kalitas is also really good here. Okay, we're getting Fate Sealed. Yep, that'll do it. Because they can tap all my creatures and they can unsummon the Kitchen Finks and then swing for 5. I wonder if Unmoored Ego hitting Cryptic Command is worth it. I just don't think it is. I don't think it's good enough here. I think Unmoored Ego, like, I think we just need to win the way we get one game 1. If their only win condition was Jace or Teferi or Kaya, I think Unmoored Ego would be good enough. But if this is the list I think it is, which is the list that did well in SCG yesterday, I think it runs like 2 of each. Turn 2 Sin Collector on the play seems very good. You can get a Temple Garden. Opponent mulliganed. And Scryed top. Okay. I'll take the board wipe. I'll just fight through spot removal. Their hand all of a sudden looks a lot worse. I could Ghost Quarter something and then buy back Ghost Quarter, something that does anything here. Kitchen Fink's heavy hand is not great against control, but that is one downside to this list, is that it really relies on Kitchen Finks, and Kitchen Finks doesn't do much here other than be a sticky 3/2 body. Forces them to path it. That's really all it does. Or do that. I'm going to keep this land here just in case I draw a tracker. Gavany Township will be good so I can kill Jace. My last basic is not what I want to draw here. This is reminiscent of the last loss we had to Dredge, where we weren't drawing particularly well. Field of Ruin is just strip mine at this point. It's about a basic, so I'll blow it up. Shows that line just to use Eternal Witness to put an extra 2 power on the board. My opponent's at 12 life and they have a Jace. I want to end the game as fast as possible. If they manage to land a Supreme Verdict, I think I'm dead anyway. I don't think I can come back from that. Luckily, I think they only run 2, and I already exiled 1 with the Sin Collector. Murderous Redcap would be a decent draw, since he can punish Jace here. So, opponent put the Melira on top of her deck. Man, I think this game is just about over. Live draw from must be Assassin's Trophy, but they could just Fate Seal us for the rest of the game. I can try to get out of the Fate Seal lock by Ghost Quartering myself. Oh, Pathing Melira. That's over. All right. Fortunately, that game 1 and game 3 against Dredge kind of set us back a little bit. Otherwise, we'd be 2-1 with our only loss being against a bad matchup. No lands. Not the one we're up against. Like, if we're up against Tron, a hand with a bunch of Path to Exiles and Selfless Spirit does nothing. I think I'll keep it, though. It is a functional 6. Human spirits. Elf. We're up against elves. Well, double path exile is actually decent here. Okay. So we have a slow clock. Great top deck would be Collected Company. Opponent's light on land, so path isn't as powerful as normal. Just gonna straight up draw off this. Okay. I'm only gonna path lords. What elf costs 4 mana? I think they're trying to company right here. Sure. This is green white elves. I consider that a lord. Otherwise, they'll be able to dump their hand right here. With the Dwynen's Elite trigger on the stack, I'll path that so they can't float 3 green mana, and then dump something else. 1, 2, 3, 4. I assume I'm going to have to... I'm putting a cord on the bottom. I assume I'm going to have to hold up path, so that's why I shocked myself there. Now I just need a cord to win the game. I did just bottom a cord, so there's 3 cords left. Sure. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to me, and this path is going to be for Skoos, because Skoos stops my kitchen finks. There's another cord at the bottom, so now I have, yeah, any order. I chose to path their Scoos then because I couldn't actually do anything. If I let it untap, I could have started exiling my Cocos and paths. Alright. That's one way to win. Man, their hand was gas, huh? Alright, let's bring in our removal. Scoos probably isn't good enough here. Unmoored Ego isn't. Sin Collector probably isn't. Davney does nothing here. Tracker doesn't do much here. The reason I'm cutting Scoos is most of my removal exiles, so it's not like creatures can be dying on their own. I'll keep this. What's going on, chat? You guys are super quiet. Make me feel like I only have one viewer. Next turn I have all the mana and all the clues. I need a path bad. One, two, three, four. I can Coco, and if I get lucky, I can then play a Viscera Seer off of the Knight. I'm not lucky. So I just need to survive this turn, and I can win the game. Opponent with one card in hand. It's probably a path. I play Tracker, play a land. Tracker, land, bird, knight, Melira. That's enough. I think I have to go for it. Green, green, black, green, and bird. I need to do it for one more. Oh, no. Punt counter. I could have corded for red cap. I could have corded for anything useful. Instead, I just die. Yep. So that should have gone to game 3. That was my fault. I'm going to blame the bee sting messing up my face. If I'd corded for 2 more, I had a red cap kill there. For some reason, I had in my head I had to get Anafenza. I think it was because last game I had to get an Anafenza. Hey Fox Mitten, how's it going? You just tune in just to see me punt, or you just joining in to, or you just chiming in to make me know I'm not alone and making mistakes? Sometimes. You're new to the Discord, right? I'm doing well. I got stung by some bees last night when I was moving the beehive. I got in the bee suit. It was kind of terrifying, actually. I'm doing a donation league, playing here this deck right here. And I just punted so hard, I could have corded for Murderous Redcap there and won the game. Instead, I had a brain fart and corded for the wrong card. So this is old Melira pod. So far the losses have been pretty reasonable. I beat Amulet Titan round 1. That was a very engaging match. I like this hand. Then we lost to Dredge game 1 on a mull to 4. And game 3, when I kept a 7 and only drew a Noble Hierarch and lands for the entire rest of the game. Then we played against a new Esper Control deck. And very close, I think very close matches, but control decks, Esper Control specifically, should wreck this deck, and we did end up losing. And then I just punted game 2 away against Elves. Play Melira over Skoos. Still have a little bit of time, and I'd rather Melira get bolted than Skoos. Sparkplug, you don't know about the Discord? Well, let me invite you. Click on that link, and you are invited to the Discord where we talk about decks like this. So I want to get a basic forest here. I just want to double check what I need white for. I need white for Knight, I need white for Path, I need white for Anafenza in Selfless Spirit. I think I just want to go basic forest though. Make my Skoos a little bit better. Ah, gotcha. Well, there you go. Anybody watching this, if you ever need a link, just message me on YouTube, message me on Discord, message me on Reddit, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours with a new link. So up against Mono Red Phoenix, which should be a very good matchup for us here. Just block to gain some life. I have another Sphinx anyway. I'm not trying to combo here. I'm just trying to outlast my opponent's Surge. Not going to attack. They already used one gut shot, or 2 gut shots, so the odds of them having another is pretty slim here. Choosing just to hold up path for a Bedlam Reveler. I'm fine with the Arclight Phoenix crashing one more time. Glad, welcome aboard. I'm looking forward to having your feedback. Oh, the fans, SCC2 and Sparkplug, you guys are my followers today. I already mentioned it, but thank you again. And thank you again, Andrew, for the resubscription, a 2-month resub. Happened 2 hours ago. I called it out then, but I just want to note it one more time. It's definitely lets me know that I'm appreciated here. So I can Gavany, I can Spirit, or I can Path. I can't do all of them. There are no more things I care about in the graveyard, and I don't really care about Bedlam Reveler that much at the moment because of the Path. I think my line here is just to attack with Scoos and go from there. Is there any reason beyond nostalgia and randomly hosing Infect to play this version anymore? Great question, Foxman. I talked a little bit on the Amulet matchup. I'll be posting this on YouTube shortly. I think that matchup, if you're going to watch, I think it really kind of showcases the strength of what this deck can do. I don't think there's really too many reasons to run this version. I think Devoted Druids is a stronger combo as a whole. The real advantage this deck has, I think, is the Unmoored Ego out of the side, which the breeding pool really helps make work. I really liked that. We hosed Amulet with it. You can hose pretty much any. You can hose Tron with it. I don't think Amulet is an issue for Devoted Druid decks, but I think Tron can be, and being able to have extra access to cards that just beat them. You can also try to bring it in against Thing in the Ice decks and try to randomly name that. Like a turn 2 Unmoored Ego is very real. Yeah, it's super spicy. It was super great. We locked our Amulet opponent out of any way to win. What do I want to do here? I don't really have any good targets. I think I just want, if I attack, they have to chump, right? 9, 12, yes. So I'm going to attack with everything. I'm going to go from there. I have no reason to cord for a Sphinx here, because once they chump, I'll gain 1 life off that. My Selfless Spirit can block 1 Phoenix, and my Path can not deal with the other, but 7, 8, 9, so I really can't do much else. I think I'm better off pathing here, going down to 7. Selfless Spirit could get gut-shotted, and I can get randomly run over with that. How's it going? Oh, so opponent should have us dead here. I can either cord for 1 or I can path something. Let's see what they choose to do. I'm going to path. Nothing in the graveyard, nothing else for me to do. If they just have lands in hand, we win. Alright, they got it. If I would go to a paper tournament right now, I would take my Finks. Yeah, the Finks list, my Abzan list. Although honestly, I'd consider running Unmoored Ego. My meta's got a lot of Tron in it recently, and I don't like the Tron matchup with Abzan Company. Game 1, Infinite Life doesn't win, and then post-board I just mulligan hard for Devoted Druid kill. I don't like that. It's not the way I like playing. It doesn't feel great for me. So I'm interested in this Unmoored Ego tech, to put it simply. How I'm going to sideboard here, I'm going to kind of treat this like it's a burn matchup. It's basically what it is. I'm going to bring in things that gain life and take out things that don't win me the game. Like Tireless Striker is great and all, I just don't know if he's good enough. I'm bringing in some spot removal to deal specifically with some pesky threats. I think I might even want an Abrupt Decay here. Murderous Redcat might be a little bit greedy, but I do like the idea that it does kill some of their creatures. I just don't think Knight of the Reliquary is that good in Modern. Because if you want to play a lands-based deck, Amulet Titan is the deck you want to run. Amulet Titan runs Kabira Crossroads, Bajuka Bog, and it's perfect because of Amulet. But Knight of the Reliquary having to sacrifice a Forest of Plains really is a big restriction here. Otherwise, Amulet lists would run Knight all day long. I think I'll cut an Anafenza. She's a little bit weaker post-board in this matchup. Selfless Spirit seems okay. I'll cut a Knight. I'll keep this. It's got a bunch of removal to deal with all their creature-heavy threats. I got a Path, Ewit, Path, Path. So I've been pretty intrigued with this list. Like I said, it didn't play well against Dredge. That was really just a bad mulliganing. I punted versus Elves. Other than that, I think this list has been done very, very well so far. Fetch a basic Plains. Sometimes these decks like running Blood Moon for no good reason. And then I'll path on their turn. Olinsky, you're the one who likes Sultai, right? Are you Sebastian? I'll be running a Sultai stream probably next Tuesday night, like 8 days from now, with Kevin Diamond, KO Diamonds, Kevin, as a guest. He's played a lot of green-black X decks, and I've played a lot of Sultai, so we're going to combine those two together and have some fun. So I'm just going to 1-for-1 them all game here while I slowly ping them to death and hopefully draw into some life gain. Yeah, Doom Train, that was you. You were absolutely correct. Sure. I don't see the benefit of this. I'll just let that happen. Maybe they're trying to get cute and make me save my Noble, but Soulscar Mage puts a -1/-1 counter on it, so the Noble will be dead anyway. I don't know. That was weird. I will say Melira is actually really good against Soulscar Mage. Yeah, it'll be, I have to still pick the list. It'll either be the Noble Sultai or something else. I think I want it to be the Noble Sultai, to be honest. I think Noble Hierarch is really good right now. I'm hoping to play against Infect here. I think I just want to leave Path up. I think it's more important. Our opponent's only has 2 cards in hand, so I think it's safe here. And I can just play Ewit and Path next turn. Yes, Vizier hoses Soulscar Mage. I've had a few opponents in MTGO kind of rage at that interaction. Okay, I'm all set drawing lands. Please no more. I think this is a really good matchup for Kitchen Finks decks, to be honest. My Abzan Company list against Mono Red Phoenix, I think I'm obscenely high win rate, like 85%, which is really ridiculous when you then look at the Izzet Phoenix win rate, where I'm at like 15%, which just kind of showcases the problem is Thing in the Ice, not Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons people ran this deck was back in the day was just to hate on Infect. I can't believe Infect is popping up in a Phoenix metagame. Like, Thing in the Ice just hoses it. Thing in the Ice really just wrecks all creature-based decks, which I think is the real problem with it. Sure. Just path you and pass. Okay. It's fine. There we go. A little late. You're a little late, Mr. Scoos. Unfortunately, you can only grow to be a 3/3 here. I guess you could do something cute and like sacrifice Selfless Spirit to grow him. Aha, you activated my trap. The reason I didn't eat the Faithless Looting on the graveyard is they have 2. And I didn't want to completely use up all my mana just to eat Faithless Lootings when they already had 3 fresh cards in hand. I would rather get my Scavenging Ooze out of Lightning Bolt range, and I want to start getting it into a range where I can block Bedlam Reveler. block here, and if I have to, I'll sacrifice Selfless Spirit to protect my Scavenging Ooze and then just keep growing it. I'll gladly take 4. So this will make him a 3/3. So I'm going to have to eat the Selfless Spirit. Grab a Temple Garden. And hope they don't have Bolt. So I've been playing around this whole time. Braid does it. Okay. So we need Collected Company or we are out of this game. So now they have 1 Faithless Looting, so I'll just eat it on their upkeep. Keep them from getting a fresh hand full of removal spells. Here's a situation where Soul Scar Mage having Wither is really relevant. So Foxmitten, how long have you played company decks? They're going to block with Seer, grow Skoos, and go for Company. The benefit of keeping Seer alive is I'm trying to combo off next turn, but I don't like if I drew into a Company. I mean, 6 months is a decently length time. I've played Absent Company on and off for a long time, but only a lot, really, like 6 months ago is when I actually started playing a lot. So we had the Company on top, so I probably should have just taken the damage. And hoped to combo. Absent Company is very, very sweet deck. I like it a lot. I can't combo right now with only 2 cards, so I see no reason not to just pass with Company up. Give our opponent less chance to respond. That way their sorcery speed removal, once we begin combat, can't remove my threats. Best possible hit would probably be like a Finks and an Offenza. Finks and a Melira, something like that. Double Finks wouldn't be terrible. Have you read any of the articles I've written about Absent Company? Gotcha. Is it in your price range now, Fox? So they have a bolt they can play right now. I don't see a way out of this game. Opponent should bolt right now. Okay. Trying to keep Melira alive in case I draw another company and I can untap and win the game. Unfortunately, I do have a bolt they can play, which would slow that down. And no reason to play it. Yeah, we're just not drawing hot right now. Should just be dead here. Thank you. You watched all those. Hopefully you don't judge me too much for the misfetching the lands in the 10K. So I do have to block here, otherwise I'm dead. I need company into double thinks. I'm not dead, but I don't really see an out here. Company. Oh, we just got the bolt. All right. Well, that's that. So, round 1 versus Amulet Titan, we saw the power of Unmoored Ego. Even though the combo without Devoted Druid is slower, I think the strength of Unmoored Ego was very powerful. Round 2 versus Dredge, the deck ran very poorly. That's just variance. I think Dredge is a very good matchup for this deck, particularly this list. So, Game 3 versus Esper Control, that's a terrible matchup. We took him to 3. Very proud of that. I do think if we'd drawn one less land and like one more Tireless Tracker, I think we could have gotten there, but we didn't. But we were on the edge, and that all you're looking for in a bad matchup is to be competitive. We were competitive there. So at that point, I think we should have been 2-1, but again, mulling to 4 and Dredge, game 1, and then game 3, only drawing lands and Noble Hire cost us that match. The next round versus Elves, we lost. I think we mulled, and then we lost real quick. And then I punted game 2 terribly, so we should have had a game 3 there. And then this one here, again, a good matchup, just didn't necessarily draw well. Didn't see a I sided in 2 Knight of Autumns, didn't see any. Opponent drew hot, we didn't. It just happens. Sometimes you get run over by a burn deck. You are 100% correct, Fox. That's the reasons why I'm off Tracker and off Knight of the Reliquary. I don't think they're very good right now. If you notice, I think I sided them out a lot, actually. They were only really good against the control matchups. Control matchups, Tron, things like that. That's when you want Knight of the Reliquary. People always say, oh, but like, don't you want a company into a 7/7? Sure, I would love to company into a 7/7. But what is a 7/7 doing for a deck that doesn't run that much removal? We're not running Tarmogoyf. If we'd run Tarmogoyf, I'd say, sure, that's a very good reason to to run Knight of the Reliquary. There's not that many utility lines we're grabbing. It's Ghost Quarter and Gavney Township. Maybe Bajuka Bog if you want to throw one of those in the sideboard. I don't think that's enough reason to run one card. If you have a 3-mana 7/7, I just don't think a 3-mana 7/7 does enough right now. Jund is very good with their 2-mana 6/7, 2-mana 5/4, or sorry, 5/6, because they can clear a path for them. One of the strengths that Green-Black X decks can do is they can Thoughtseize, punch a hole for Goyf, and then Fatal Push clear the path away, and then ride the wave, kind of pretend to be a Delver deck for a little while. Coco decks can't do that. Coco decks don't run enough removal to be able to clear a path for their giant creature. He doesn't have trample, and oftentimes in against aggressive matchups, you're forced to block with him. Well, about those times when he's just a 3-mana 2/2. There's a lot of graveyard hate right now. We saw Esper Control was packing 3 Nihil Spell Bombs, which are Nihil Spell Bombs, whichever it's pronounced, which makes him look very silly. I 100% agree with you. I've cast Collected Company enough to know that most of the time you're casting Collected Company, you want to be finding pieces. You're not looking for individually powerful cards. If you want to build a Collected Company deck that is looking for individually powerful cards, you're going to play Green-White Value Town. You're going to want to play Tireless Tracker, Knight of the Reliquary, and Ramanok Excavator and try to value out your wins. You also get a lot of losses. Kitchen Finks with Viscera Seer is very powerful. Without even any other steps, just Kitchen Finks and Viscera Seer. Those are very powerful together. If all you do is Collected Company into those 2 cards, you just gained, at worst, 4 life and 3 scries. Would you pay 4 mana to gain 4 life and 3 scries? In some situations, sure, especially if you get a couple jump blocks in there. Would you pay 4 mana against a Phoenix deck to play a 7/7? No, because they're just going to go over you, they're going to flip your board, a thing in the ice, you can get around you there. I do think people undervalue Kitchen Finks as a combo piece. And I think people overvalue Knight of the Reliquary as a toolbox piece. Sorry, I got a little bit long-winded there. Game 1, we're a combo deck. We can sideboard into a value deck, and if you want to sideboard into pieces like Knight of the Reliquary, I think that's fine. I just don't think there's that many matchups where we want him. I think this... I like the idea of this deck more with Tracker than Knight, to be honest. But the meta right now isn't great for grindy cards. We're not winning games by outgrinding our opponents. We're winning games by comboing. And I was really intrigued with playing Melira Pod here. We should have been... Honestly, we probably should have 3-2'd this league, or at least I should have had one more win at the worst there. Like, we beat Amulet and lost. We should have beaten Dredge. Some bad variants happened there. I think we win that matchup 80% of the time. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, trackers are a great sideboard card, and I love like the idea of Collected Company into Tireless Tracker. Just it's so good. It's so good. I mean, I love Renegade Rallier. That's one of my favorite cards. And Renegade Rallier isn't even that great right now. Instead, I'm going for the more streamlined Eternal Witness, because Eternal Witness rebuys Chord, and Eternal Witness rebuys Path to Exile. And right now, that's more important. My current list, let's check that out. So this is the list we just played. if I was going to make changes to this list, I already made one. I added the red cap, and then I forgot to cord for it. Ugh, that's going to haunt my dreams. Just jumping back to finishing Melira Knight, and then I'll go over my Abs and Company list. I don't think we need 2 Selfless Spirits. I think I would much rather have a Shalai, just as a fair card. I know we can Company into Selfless Spirit, and we can't Company into Shalai, but I just think Shalai is just strictly more powerful right now in a meta with a lot of Path to Exile. I don't know if I like the Knight package here. Like, I just don't think it does enough. So I think I'd be questioning whether or not to keep that. I do think you have plenty of flex spots in the old Melira list. So anyways, Abs and Company, right here. This is my current list with my 15th sideboard slot, which is in flex. That. Ignore the declaration in stone. This is my 60. I'm very, very happy with this 60. I think this 60 is phenomenal. I wouldn't change a card in it right now. It's very well tuned to beat grindy decks without cards like Tireless Tracker because we don't need them. It's very well tuned to beat things like Grixis Death Shadow, which are supposed to be a bad matchup for this deck. And it's very well tuned to beat pretty much the field. Except Izzet Phoenix. Even in Izzet Phoenix, we can steal a couple games with Mirror Entity stopping a Thing in the Ice flip, which is a very cool interaction. What I like about this Game 1 list is it's very streamlined to combo, but it still has a lot of hidden value in there. It's hidden value enough where we don't need cards like Tireless Tracker and Knight of the Reliquary. Quite frankly, because I don't think card advantage matters very much in Modern right now. Like, I don't think it matters very much at all. I think what actually matters is mana efficiency. And cards like Tireless Tracker and Knight of the Reliquary aren't the best in terms of being mana efficient. Is a single blue land enough to support Unmoored Ego if I drop the Knights? Yeah, I absolutely think it is. Because you have to remember, it's just one blue land, the breeding pool. But you also have 7 to 8 mana dorks that tap for blue. Sparkplug. Yes, actually, so I did say this is the perfect 60. You can make one change, save yourself 50 bucks, and I don't think you hurt yourself at all. That one change would be switching the birds and noble count. So you have 4 birds and 3 nobles. I don't think you get... Actually, 4 birds might even be the correct count over 3 nobles, because we're already really good against prison decks, against like Bridge. Yeah, I don't think we need the 4 Exalted, because we have Mirror Entity, and we have Shalai, and we have Ballista to beat Bridge already. And Bird does fly, which works very well with Mirror Entity. Bird flying can block Phoenix if we need it to. And Bird taps for black mana, which is very useful when you want to be casting Sin Collector on curve postboard. I think if you swap a noble for a bird, you are not only okay, I think you are equal in power level to the 60 I'm showing right here. The reason I prefer the extra noble over the bird here, I just haven't played tested enough with 4 birds and 3 nobles. And I feel like online there's a huge representation of prison, and I like having the 4th noble to beat prison. Hopefully I answered your question there. Yeah. So you can absolutely do that. So my sideboard, I like 14 cards in my sideboard. I like everything but the Declaration in Stone. The Declaration in Stone is a flex spot. That could be anything. That could be, just tune it to beat your meta. That could be another trophy. That could be another Scooze, another Eidolon. It could be a Tracker. It could be another Knight of Autumn, another Plague Crafter. You could really use that slot to play pretty much anything. Anafenza, the 3-drop, is very good in that slot. That 15th slot is the one that I keep playing around with to try to tune to beat the specific meta. Declaration in Stone is there to try to beat Phoenix's fast draws, where they just like, oh, here's 3 Phoenixes, turn 2, beat it. Like I untap, I lose 9 life, and then I untap and play Declaration in Stone and say, I did, I beat it. Hooray! I just don't know if it's good enough. I don't know if it's worth another sideboard slot just to beat a matchup that we're already losing. Am I happy with Plaguecrafter? Yes, very happy with Plaguecrafter. I think Plaguecrafter is a very medium card. And if Plaguecrafter only helped us in our good matchup, if Plaguecrafter was only good against Dredge and Burn and Green-Black X, then I wouldn't run it. But it's most helpful in our bad matchups against Blue-White Control and Tron. So when you drop a Plaguecrafter, and when you invest a sideboard slot into a card like Plaguecrafter, I'm recognizing that this is for matchups where I am already behind. So sometimes a medium card like Plaguecrafter can just get you out of situations where you can't get out of normally. For example, this main board cannot beat Ugin. Now throw a Plaguecrafter in it. You drop an Ugin, you wipe my board, sure. I untap, Collected Company, I get a Plaguecrafter and a Devoted Druid. Well, you might just die. You might die next turn. Plaguecrafter is just... it's one of those cards that is just really, really neat. Yeah, the versatility, it's a card that changes the way you play certain matchups. As a whole, the card is, it's not card advantage. Again, it's just tempo. You're spending 3 mana for an Edict effect. Now, granted, you can tap a Birds of Paradise and sack the bird if you have extra birds and keep the 3/2 body, if that's relevant to you. But that's a card you want to like either Collected Company into, or you want to use it to really kind of like smallpox your opponent. There have been times when I realized that my only out, my opponent had like a thing in the ice flip on the flip trigger on the stack. My only out was Cocoing into Plaguecrafter. I was like, the only way I can win this game is if I Coco right now, hit Plaguecrafter, and win the game. I whiffed, but it was nice. It was nice knowing that that was an option where I could have just won the game straight up right there. The versatility is very good. Cards like Sin Collector are also pretty medium. There's been plenty of times when I've cast Sin Collector and my Blue-White Control opponent said, okay, I have Jace, Teferi, Detention Sphere, and some lands. And I say, well, that wasn't great. But Sin Collector also, sometimes that you hit and you say, oh, well, there's Scape Shift and Anger the Gods. Both of those are pretty good. I have some choices here. I just completely stopped what my opponent's trying to do. Again, Sin Collector's a card I probably wouldn't run Eidolon too if it only helped me in good matchups. Eidolon, Sin Collector, and Plaguecrafter are in the sideboard to help us with our bad matchups. We don't really need much help in our good matchups. Burn, main board, we're pretty fine. We have Shalai and 4 Finks. And then we side into a couple Night of Autumn, some Sin Collectors, which are just splash damage on the Burn, really. And some Path Exiles. We get very, very good against Burn. Dredge. I think my sideboard guide right now has side in that 1 Scavenging Ooze, and that's all we side in against Dredge. We don't need any more help against Dredge. I do think people overvalue having cards for every matchup in their sideboard. And I spent a long time tuning my 74 to have, okay, I take out this many cards, I bring in this many cards. And some people will be like, oh, I want more Grave Hate in my sideboard. People have been trying Surgicals and things like that. And my big question is, why? Why do you bring in Surgicals? And if you want a Surgical Phoenixes or if you want a Surgical for Dredge, we don't need Surgical for Dredge, so Surgical would just be for Phoenix. Eidolon does the same thing and also hates out Storm and Living Index. Hey, not a problem. Don't mind quizzing me. You got a open floor right now. Anafen's is great against Phoenix decks, particularly if we can drop our turn 2. She requires a lightning axe or easily a 2-for-1 to be killed. She resets her kitchen finks, which can be important in that matchup. As long as we have removal spells to kill Thing in the Ice, she's a good answer on the play to stop Phoenixes. I like her a lot. In fact, she is what I would, to answer your initial question, Sebastian, I think this is a 75 I would run in paper right now. I think Anafen's is very, very good against a lot of things. She's a card you can bring in not just against Phoenix, which is one thing I look for in my 15th slot, but she's also really good against Green-Black X decks. And I mean, if you want to play with the removal suite a little bit, like I have 2 Assassin's trophies because I feel like Tron sometimes is an issue, and I feel like if I don't have a Devoted Druid early, I just lose that game. So having something access to like more Assassin's trophy lets me beat Tron when I'm on the draw. Yep, great against Hollow One, great against Dredge. I don't think we need her against Dredge. Obviously, if she's on my board, I'm bringing her in. But I don't think we need her in either of those matchups, to be honest. But hey, if you want to make our 75%, 75% win rate against Dredge, you want to make it even better, Anafen's is it. Anafen's is also really good against any Lightning Bolt deck. Yep. I was running 1 trophy, 1 decay for a while. What made me switch to the 2nd trophy was, like I said, Tron. I think the Shadow matchup's good enough without Abrupt Decay. And I think I would rather have Trophy right now against Shadow anyway, just because it hits Gurmag Angler. It's really awkward when you have a Decay in hand and then just have an Gurmag Angler hand. Also, a fun fact, Plague Crafter gets around Stubborn Denial as a removal spell. Beating Stubbs is nice, but Plague Crafter does that for us already. Plus, I'm not really that worried about Shadow with this list. Anybody who has access to the Discord, which everyone could if they... Here, maybe I can... There's a Discord link again. Everyone who has access to Discord can see my win rate against Grixis Death Shadow is very, very good with this list. I think my game one, I think I'm less favored, but I'm still like 40-something%, I'd have to guess. I can just get a fast draw sometimes off of Druid, and my Kitchen Finks gets there. Mirror Entity changes the math of that matchup quite a bit, because Mirror Entity lets you... If you can untap with a Mirror Entity against Shadow, you should just win the game, because now your Birds of Paradise can swing for 6, and sometimes they get pretty low life total on their own. Post-board, we can play this really great game where we just flood the board and we control their creature drops. It's kind of the same matchup where we play against Phoenix, where we just try to path, Ewit, Loop to blow them out. Except they don't have flyers, so we can just jump block all day with Kitchen Finks. I think it's a great, great matchup. I look forward to playing because it's always skill intensive, and plus a fair walking ballista. I like it when a fair walking ballista matters, and I've won plenty of games against Shadow where I just have a 2-2 walking ballista in one game. I do think Grixis Death Shadow players tend to sideboard and play company decks incorrectly. I think they're just so to the tune of, oh, it's a creature deck, I'm going to play control, and that's wrong. They should be keeping in TBR, and they should just try to drop a fast Shadow, hold up Stubbs and TBR at the same time. Stubbs are path, TBR can kill us. That's the only way I think Grixis Death Shadow can reliably beat a deck that goes this wide. Because without TBR, we can just flood the board all day with Kitchen Finks, reset the Finks with Gavany or with Vizier, or even an Anafenza here, and just kind of win the game that way. And Eternal Witness does way too much work. Grixis Death Shadow decks aren't designed to be as grindy as they used to be. They're really more designed to be combo-y. we can crush them if they try to sideboard into a grindy deck. Because nothing's grindier than this deck right here. You look, there's Duskwatch Recruiter, which draws cards. There's Gavany Township, which is basically all these cards that are just 2-for-1s. Eternal Witness, Kitchen Finks, Shalai, Company, all these 2-for-1s. Yep, the slower they play, the more chance we have. The longer the game goes, the higher chance we have of winning. I think the strength in this deck is, as long as you're good at figuring out who's on the beatdown, and there's a great article if you just Google who's the beatdown, you can read it. People who say this deck is easy to play, people who say that this deck is easy to play, are just looking at the easy hands. Oh, my opponent had no interaction. Turn 2 Druid, turn 3 Vizier, Ballista, win. But how do you play when they bolt your Druid? How do you play when they surgical extraction your Druid? How do you play when they thought seize you and you're drawn on empty? That's where the play is this deck. You always are shifting around between being aggressive and not aggressive. You have to know who the beatdown is every single play of every single turn. A lot of decks and a lot of people don't like shifting between that. I do, and I love it. That's one reason why I love this deck. Blue-white control, for example, never switches. Tron never switches. If you never want to identify who's the beatdown, play those decks, because tell you what, you're never the person on the beatdown. The game is over by the time you start beating down. I agree. I 100% agree. I think you need some percentage of free wins. I think if you're playing a deck where if you just dirtle for a few turns, you're just dead. You're just gone. Kevin, the league did not end well. Quick recap: beat Amulet, lost to Dredge because we didn't draw anything. We mulled to 4. What was the next one? Lost Esper Control in 3. I lost to Elves in 2. We should have beaten them game 2, but I punted, and then I immediately walked away in shame. And then we lost to Mono Red Phoenix because we just didn't draw anything. So 1-4. I do think that a basic swamp would have helped the list a lot, especially against the Esper deck. I think we might have actually been able to win if they hadn't just locked us out with Field of Ruin. I like 1 swamp. Just look, 1 swamp is less for the main board and more for the sideboard. And 1 swamp is really good against Field of Ruin. If you look at this mana base, we can pretty much cast everything in our entire deck under Blood Moon. Everything except for Chord we can cast on an empty board with just our basics. And Chord you're really just looking to convoke anyway. We can cast every spell in our deck except for Gideon under a Blood Moon. Plus, there's been plenty of times where I'm at 1 or 2 life and I want a combo for Infinite, and I have to play Seer, and I have to fetch his land. That happens. So, McKinnon, you must have missed some of my earlier streams. I'll have to like link them on YouTube or something. But so many Izzet Phoenix players bring in Blood Moon against this post board, and it just, I don't know why. I don't know why. You're in a competitive league, you expect people to not bring in Blood Moon against essentially a 2-color deck that runs Mana Dorks, but hey. I was going to take a break and then maybe come back later tonight. So I'm done streaming for the moment. Oh yeah, Blood Moon is terrible against this deck. I would never bring in Blood Moon against this deck. But yeah, people if they have Blood Moon in their sideboard and they're new to a deck, they're probably going to bring it in against everything just because they think they get gotcha points. And unfortunately, sometimes they get rewarded for it. I do think the basic swamp is very important, more so for Field of Ruin. Only having 2 Overgrown Tombs against the Field of Ruin deck when our answer to a lot of their stuff is either Trophy or Plague Crafter, and Sin Collector also. I really want that basic swamp against blue-white control. I also want that basic swamp against Burn. Those are the big matchups it comes in. So against Burn, I want a basic swamp to play Sin Collector. Against Blue-White Control, I want my basic swamp so they can't Field of Ruin me out of lands as easily, and also to make it so I have a land that's protected and lets me play Trophy. I wouldn't touch too much my mana base, to be honest. If you take out Gideon for a tracker, I'd make that Razor Verge Thicket into another green fetch, maybe like a Misty Rainforest. That's about it. I really do think my 60 is very solid. And then the only real switch is that Birds of Noble. We can switch those. Doesn't mess it up. I mean, just think, like, so if you look at this list, right, we have 2 forests. Sorry, we have 21 lands, right? And there's 3 lands that don't tap for green. 4 lands that don't tap for green. We have 17 turn 1 green sources. Frank Carson recommends you have 14 to be able to consistently cast your spells. We have 17 turn 1 green sources. We are way ahead to being able to cast Forest on 1. Or a green mana on 1. We're fine. Absolutely fine. I mean, if you're mulling to 4 or 5, obviously at that point you just got to keep a hand that has a couple lands in it. But no, this deck can consistently cast its Dorks turn 1. I mean, it happens. It'll happen. I mean, it's magic. You shuffle up, you're going to see a random selection, a random 7. You're going to see a bunch of different stuff. It'll happen. I mean, Gavany Township has an expense like that, too. I've had plenty of hands where I'm like, if that Gavany Township is a basic forest, I could keep this hand and have a turn 3 win. It's not. It's a Gavany Township. But there's plenty of spots like you just saw in this league. I think I said, like, the only way I can win is if I draw a Gavany Township right here. And then I was staring down that Jace, and I had to kill it. And I could only kill it if I top-decked a Gavany. And I didn't. Gavany is very powerful. Gavany is one of the reasons why we have a good matchup against fair decks. I mean, Kevin, I'm sure, can attest how many times he's been like played against Gavany Township and it just completely take over a game. It makes it so your mana dorks all of a sudden become threats. So to really answer your question, McKinnon, I would not... McKinnon. I wouldn't worry about the basic swamp in terms of affecting your count. I do way too much math with this mana base. I love this mana base. I think it's spot on. Also, the basic swamp, like I said, is important for not just the main board. I think it's more important for the sideboard. Yep. I mean, I spend a long time tuning mana bases. Yeah, Gavany is so good. I was running Gavany Township as a one-of in my Abzan Traverse list for a little while instead of the basic plains, and it won me a few games. Gavany Township works real well with Grimflayer and Lingering Souls. It's also a threat that doesn't use the graveyard, which is really cool. So anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks again for the resub from Andrew and the 2 new followers I have, Sparkplug and The Fan. Hopefully I'm streaming quite possibly a little bit later today, but I'll definitely be streaming again on Wednesday. And then 8 days from now, Kevin and I are going to figure out we're going to do a co-stream. Hey, McDenon, thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard the Doom Train. So in 8 days, Kevin, we'll figure it out. We'll do a co-stream, maybe some Noble Sultai, some sort of Sultai build where we're gonna play a green-black X deck, but throw in Snapcaster Mage to rebuy. Kind of plays like an Eternal Witness plan. So that's what you have to look forward to in 8 days. If any of you guys want to see me play a specific deck, send me the list. I'll probably be okay with it. And just as if you either donate to the queue or provide the tickets, I will run the league in a donation queue. No, it will not have Serum Visions. Serum Visions is one of the worst Magic cards that everybody loves. Oh, I'm making so many decisions. I'm scrying too. Just because you run Serum Visions doesn't mean your deck is hard to play. Just because you run Serum Visions doesn't mean your deck is good. A big problem with Serum Visions, on a quick little rant, is Serum Visions really messes up your mana base. If you're not playing a deck that has 12 plus sources of blue mana, get Serum Visions out, because you're not going to be able to consistently cast it early. And I know Serum Visions is so great late, but you really want to try to cast it to smooth out your draws. That's what people always say, oh, Serum Vision smooths out your draws. Well, if you want to smooth out your draws, you want to be able to cast it turn 1, you need 14 plus blue sources. Turn 1, which means cards like Creeping Tar Pit don't count towards that turn 1. So I don't think Sultai should be playing Serum Visions if Sultai wants to be a Tarmogoyf deck. If Sultai wants to be a deck like this, where you're going turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Tarmogoyf, turn 3 Liliana, and then, oh, by the way, you have Unmoored Ego and Counter Squall on the sideboard, sure, let's do that all day long. Do I exclusively play toolbox decks? I do not. I play lots of different decks. So I recently played Thalia Stompy as a donation queue, and I had a lot of fun with it. I should have 5-0'd the league. I was about to 5-0, and it was my first time playing the list, and I didn't realize that Gemstone Cavern did not tap for colorless if it had a luck counter on it. And this was a nighttime stream, so I was 3 or 4 beers in, and so we ended up 4-1-ing. I played Sultai Reclamation. I played Sultai Fairies. I've played this cool aggro I call it Bad Humans, Siege of the Rainbow. It runs Siege Rhino and Bloodbraid Elf with Mantis Rider and Thalia. It's a really cool aggro deck. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it for FNMs. Yeah, Ishkanah is really great against Phoenix. I've played Traverse Shadow. I've played Grixis Death Shadow. I've played Temur Moon decks. More Sultai, Green-Black Rock. There's Shadow. I played this list, which I was playing with for a while, and I really liked. I call it Night Pod. It's a Nightfall deck with it's got the turn 3 win with Knight of the Reliquary and Retreat to Coralhelm, but it also has this cool combination with Secure, Tribe Scout, a Boro, and Retreat to Coralhelm. You can generate infinite landfall triggers. You do this by flashing in a Boro, untap Scout, pay 1 mana, return a Boro to your hand, do that again. Infinite landfall triggers works with Lotus Cobra for infinite mana, which works with Courser of Crucifix for infinite life, or works with Tireless Tracker for infinite clues. So all of those can hopefully, if you have Tireless Tracker, Lotus Cobra, and those on the board, you're just going to draw your deck with infinite mana until you eventually get Spike Feeder, Archangel of Thune, and win the game with infinite life and sized creatures. It's a really cool deck. It's kind of janky, but it's super fun jank. It also runs a Prime Speaker, Vanifar, just to help you get the Spike Feeder Archangel combo in. Thanks. Yeah, so, I mean, this obviously is a toolbox deck. You were asking a non-toolbox. I do run Eldrazi Stompy, some Titan Shift. This is my Titan Shift list. It's Naya Shift. It runs Nahiri and Renegade Rallier. And I figured I did a write-up on this for a while ago. I did 7-2 at an open recently, 6 months ago. That's recent with this deck list. Seal of Fire and Path, Lightning Helix in a Valakut list. This turns into a more mid-range, because you can go Bloodbraid into Renegade Rallier, buy back a Seal of Fire, or buy back a Fetch Land, and just really do really well just off of that. In sideboard, you have access to like cards like Fulminator Mage, Fiery Justice, which does great against Grixis Death Shadow, by the way. Night of Autumn, Rest in Peace, Path. I mean, this deck list did really well for me when the meta was a little bit slower. So I play kind of everything. I like playing decks that have, here's obviously my Amulet list. Here's Amulet Bloom, Amulet Bant, Amulet Explorer, Amulet with Oath of Nissa, Amulet Serum Visions, which I hated it, but I said I'd try it. Red Amulet, and then another white Amulet. I have Abzan Traverse. I have Abzan Shadow Ballista with this deck list. What it's trying to do is get a Death Shadow in the graveyard, play a Walking Ballista, and then play a Valraz, scavenge onto the Walking Ballista, and then ping your opponent for 14. Yeah, you have to make... Renegade Rallier made it feel like I was playing Decision Points in Titan Shift. And to be fair, I think I only won like 40% of my matches by actually casting Scape Shift. I think the rest of the time I was just beating him down. And people were like, "Oh, I surgical Ghost Quarter surgical your Valakut," or I surgical your Prime Times, your Scape Shifts," and I would just beat him down with Bloodbright Elf and Renegade Rallier. It's like, okay, I have a bunch of 3/2s. That's a lot to ping your opponent for 14. Sure. But I mean, you're also just playing a straight up Abzan Death Shadow list, which should be able to win on its own. But every once in a while, under a bridge, you can have some weird lines. I was looking down a Worm Coil, and I was at 14 life, and I was like, how do I win? How do I win? I was like, I feel like there's a way I can win right now, but how do I win? I was at 14 life. My opponent had a Worm Coil out. I think I had a Tarmogoyf and a Valraz. So I played Death Shadow, it died, played my Walking Ballista for 1, and then scavenged onto it and pinged him to death. It was just a really cool line. It was a lot of fun. So to answer your question, I play a little bit of everything. I start deleting decks after it gets too long. I also made this sweet little Mirror Company list. If Infinite Life doesn't do as much, if you have a meta where Infinite Life isn't winning you matches, like if your meta is a lot of Tron and things like that, I really like this deck list. So what this deck list does, it's more all in on the Devoted Druid plan. If you notice, there's no, like I said, no Kitchen Finks, nothing else. And you get to run a Field of Ruin because your mana base is, instead of the basic Swamp, you have a Field of Ruin in there. And what this deck list does is it lets you Militia Bugler into Mirror Entity, and it lets you have more ways to be fair and win with Mirror Entity. Sideboard for this one, sure. So I would still be, I think I'd work a little bit more on the sideboard. I'd probably bring in another Ghost Quarter instead of the Kataki. Losing black makes your sideboard a lot worse. But having access to 2 mirror entities makes your Phoenix matchup pretty sweet. Yeah, no basic Swamp here. We get the Field of Ruin instead. This deck list grinds really well. If you look, every single creature except for Shalai is a Militia Bugler hit. You can Militia Bugler into an Eternal Witness. You can Coco into a Bugler and an E-Witness and grab Mirror Entity off the Bugler. There's just so many cool things that this deck can do. This deck can grind. If you want to bring if you don't have the budget for the Abzan mana base, I think this deck list does a lot of good things. I do think it is not nearly as good in the current meta because I still think Kitchen Finks is great. And as I said before, I think the reason why Kitchen Finks is great isn't because it's a strictly powerful card in its own right. I think it's because it makes Vizier Remedies better. If someone kills your Devoted Druid while you're casting Vizier, what do? Well, now you have a stupid 2/1 in play that doesn't do anything. But if you can then follow up with Kitchen Finks, all of a sudden you're threatening another combo just off of your next turn play. I don't know how many times I've transitioned infinite mana into my turn 3 infinite mana win into my turn 4 infinite life win when my opponent kills my druid. So, long-winded answer to your question. I'm sorry. I tend to go on the long way around answers sometimes. But I don't just play toolbox decks, but I really like toolbox decks. My heart for a long time was in Tarmogoyf decks, but I just don't think Tarmogoyf decks are as powerful right now because they don't have free wins, which drew me to Death Shadow decks to try to get some free wins, but I didn't like the red mana and the Death Shadow decks as much. TBR felt too much like a potential blowout. And then, honestly, when Assassin's Trophy was spoiled, that's when I jumped back into company decks. I said Assassin's Trophy is great for Tarmogoyf decks, but it's actually really good in decks that don't care about giving you the land. Tarmogoyf decks don't really want you to get the land. They're primarily like resource denial decks. Thoughtseize, all these things want 1-for-1 trades, and their cards are better than yours. That's how they win. Absent Company doesn't care if you get a land. I'll give you a land. I'll just stop your Kalitas. I'll stop your Skoos. I'll stop the one thing you have to beat me. I'll stop your Ugin. I'll stop your Urzatron. So jump me back into this, and that's why I brewed the list where I won the 10K with just won the Jam Packet. Back then, Jeskai Control was one of the most played decks in the format. Jeskai Control and Dredge were heavily played. So I built a list with Renegade Rallier to kind of exploit my opponent's removals. I also had one of Voice of Resurgence, so I could run a really fair line with a company deck, like a turn 1 Vizier, turn 1 Seer, turn 2 Voice of Resurgence, turn 3 I sack the Voice, scry, get a token, buy it back with Renegade Rallier, and then turn 4 I can swing for a lot of power. That was the fair line I liked with that deck list, and that's the deck list that I brewed in response to a meta that I perceived to be more about 2-for-1s with Assassin's Trophy. When you get a really good spot removal spell, you want to start playing cards that beat spot removal. Kitchen Finks, Voice of Resurgence, Renegade Rallier, Eternal Witness. Those cards beat spot removal. Yeah, Voice of Resurgence is just one of those cards I just love. I hate playing against it. But I love playing it. I just don't think it's good right now. It's really bad against Thing in the Ice, and it's really bad against Terminus. And those are two of the most played cards in our format right now. Anyways, thanks for hopping on the stream. If you guys want to talk more shop, I will be back on. Don't know when. Hopefully later tonight. Once again, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the 2-month sub. Thank you for this donation deck list. It was a... Oh, let me jump to it. Melira Knight. It was a lot of fun. We should have gone at worst 2-3, maybe even 3-2. I don't think the meta right now is appropriate for a slower combo deck that wins with gaining life. There's a lot of decks that don't care about infinite life gain. Hey. If you hit the follow button, you will see every time I'm on. I often play toolbox decks. Right now I'm trying to narrow down what I'm bringing to the IQ on Saturday, whether it's Absent Company or some form of Amulet Titan. So I'm still narrowing that down, and you can watch me while I run leagues to choose what I'm playing with. So anyway, thanks again, guys. I will see you soon.